it. Good evening, everybody. It is Friday, July 24th at 5:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we are going to be streaming the launch of Starship Flight 13. My brother's being annoying in the background. Please ignore him.
Please don't mention me.
Don't be annoying then.
Don't mention me.
Anyway, a mysterious force took the last good bowl in the house and I'm trying to go get food, so that kind of makes me in a bad mood.
What?
He knows that I hate them, or this mysterious force knows that I hate them.
Stop talking about me.
I'm not talking about you. I didn't mention your name.
Don't. You can call me a title, but I will go tell mom.
I didn't say your name. I didn't even say my brother.
So stupid. Mysterious force.
Could be my dad. Could be another sibling. They don't know how many siblings I have. Could be my mom. Anyway, I hate these plastic bowls that we have because they make an annoying sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now eating mac and cheese off of a plate because the people who actually don't care about the sound chose to still take my favorite bowls and whatnot.
Alan is talking about me on his stream.
I am not.
Talking.
If you say it, I'm just gonna say he's lying. You never mentioned my name, or never mentioned you by name.
You were talking about me.
I don't care. Chase, I am here. You're deafened. I am here.
My bad. Sorry, I'm muted. I had to do something.
Sorry. I can't talk about him. He's gonna yell at me. Someone is putting on his phone. He's stole lost the ball in the house. Now I'm mad and he's tattling and whatnot. But I'm just gonna not. I'm just gonna not. Do with that what you will. Refrain him from duo-both or something. Chase could always go live on TikTok through like any desk or whatever and watch my stuff. Anyway, if it's out in the background, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. If I get mad, I'll try not to be, but that's probably because I'm being messed with. by things that I'm not allowed to
Did you
mention.
stop talking about
Can you stop trying to actively annoy me? Anyway,
I'm not annoying you, but
yes you are.
just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop.
Okay, stop being annoying too.
Stop. Stop. Stop.
I didn't even mention him by name. Refrained from even saying brother. I just said someone took the last good bowl and now I'm ticked off.
Are you muted? Are you
Alright.
muted?
I didn't think about being muted, I just was defending myself.
Stop it. Doing what? Mentioning me, talking about me, saying force, literally
listen.
anything. Just focus on your stream.
Anyway, today we are hoping to stream the launch of Starship Flight 13. This is probably their, I guess, counted as their third attempt. Yesterday was attempt 2. Weather was unfavorable. Last week was attempt 1. But had a hot fire abort. Yeah. There's not really much to talk about as of now. So, excuse me. I mean, the only thing I can say is I'm very excited because today I got a new graphics card. Anyway, and tomorrow I'm gonna get some new RAM, so hopefully I can play DCS in VR. Maybe I'll make videos, maybe I won't. Anyway, hope everything's good quality on the stream. I'm gonna try not to like slurp down my food as I'm talking. Scared to check notifications on a place like Twitter. But what was I gonna look at? Make sure our stream is just good, I guess. It's good food.
What is this that you just sent me?
Hold on. None of your business. None of your beeswax. Well, I think you can draw conclusions on your own. Where is this launching from? Starbase, Texas. Oh boy, this is a low quality stream. Hopefully it's not just because I'm running it in 720p. But yeah, it's launching from Starbase in Texas, which is basically on the border with Mexico. And they're doing a suborbital test flight, but launching just far enough where it could go orbital if it needed to, or just with enough, power to go to orbit if it wanted to. However, that's actually an important point. One of today's main objectives is to do a relight demo in space with this new Starship version, which they skipped last time due to engine issues, so that they can hopefully, on the next flight, go fully orbital, carry test payloads that will actually stay in orbit for a while. Today they're carrying actual V3 Starlink satellites, not like a version 2.5 or not payload simulators like they have last time, or they had been last time. But they're only going to be able to connect for like 20 minutes before they burn up in the atmosphere from moving at 26,000 kilometers an hour, 17,000 miles an hour. Okay. Isn't that bad? Okay, it's not that bad. Anyway, currently there's really just a bunch of radio silence on what to talk about right now because there's nothing actually moving, except for the fact that they are pre-chilling the lines in the tower so that they could actually load liquid instead of just pumping a bunch of gas into it because it's really, really cold, and if it touches something that's hot, it's just gonna basically immediately evaporate into gas, as you can tell from the pressure being vented from the lines.
If you don't mind, can you turn yourself up a little bit?
Sure. Are you gonna go live on TikTok? Ready desk?
It's really laggy on any desk.
Well,
So we're
TikTok is
probably gonna
where
have
the
to
views
figure that
are.
out later.
Boy, I know this is a tough. I don't know. I'm just gonna do what we're comfortable with. Anyway, I'm just waiting now.
Oh, you're all the way up. Don't worry, I got you.
Yes, my mood is so much better. I can drop my fork. At least this gives me an excuse to go get more water because I totally forgot to grab it.
Okay, this should be good. Waiting on Count to be back. We are T minus 47 minutes. And put it back into full screen.
It is 44 minutes, which means we're probably about 7 to 8 minutes away from loading my own Starship.
You should be better. I turned your gain up a little bit.
Well, something you're gonna have to test. You can see there's a lot of pressure in that line. And the line is frosty because it is condensing all of the hot and humid Texas beach air around it.
There's still like
Guess I could just move my
you
mic
have both
closer.
noise suppressions.
Yeah, but that's not a bad
Alright,
thing.
if you can move it closer, then that's good.
I just want to be done with this plate, man. And apparently there was another bowl that I didn't see on the dish rack. So, whatever. Now I'm just waiting for 11 more minutes to be able to actually show the SpaceX stream, because that's where most of the up-close views and whatnot come from. But, yeah, there's not really anything super duper ultra fantastically interesting going on right now. Jeez, okay. I didn't even say anything bad. I need to like make a graph of something that I'll explain to Chase later. Not really much interesting. They scrubbed rep yesterday because of poor visibility, because they wanted to see what would happen if they just went through max Q, maximum aerodynamic pressure, without throttling down, and see if that would affect the heat shield because of how much pressure there would be on the tiles. But there's not really any information. On pressing through max Q.
Why do we have 91 views on the reel I just posted?
Hopefully that doesn't flood us. And you can see these vents are venting. I don't really know about much of the ground side vents, but I know that if this turns off, they're probably about to get into loading. And at 50 minutes, they do go for prop load, which seems to have passed by now, which means that they're going to launch basically at the top of the window unless there's a hold. Then ship locks will load at 37 minutes, which is 6 minutes from now, or 6.5 or whatever. Then locks load on boosters, which is liquid oxygen load. 30 seconds later. And then booster fuel, 2 and whatever, 2 and some change minutes later, 2 and 35 seconds later. And then finally, just over a minute late, no, just under a minute later, ship fuel load. Then engine chill, because engines get really, really hot, but they also get really, really cold. I guess that's more accurate just to say they get really, really cold unless they're ablative, because the fuel is what is used to cool them because it's cryogenic, and to avoid the engines being thermally shocked, they run a little bit of it slowly through the engines prior to launch and ignition and whatnot. Then T minus 2 minutes and 50 seconds, booster prop load is complete. Then ship prop load, and then at 30 seconds, SpaceX flight director verifies go for launch. Then after 17 seconds,
Here it comes.
they can't roll back anymore because once the flame diverter has activated, they've expelled water or have water in the lines and blah blah blah, and they can't really cycle it again, at least with the amount of time that they have for propellant boil off managing and whatnot. Then there's the commanded engine start of booster at 3 seconds, and then lift off at obviously 0 seconds. Then max Q, which on this flight they're not going to throttle down for, like I think most rockets, at least nowadays, do, to avoid, damage. And they're just going to see if it really helps, because it would help with efficiency, I believe. And then hot staging after most engines cut off, which means that the stages will still be attached to one another, but there's enough of a gap where the ship exhaust should be able to push away the booster without destroying the booster or the ship. Then booster boost back burn, which lasts about, 38 seconds. And on this new booster, it will be like all 33 engines. So that's an insane boost back thrust weight, which is like probably like 20 Gs, if not way more. Then after it reorients and whatnot, there should be landing burn at about 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Then it should shut down at about 6 minutes and 53 seconds to, I think they're going to cut it off and do like a simulated catch a few hundred feet up in the air, just so that they don't have a big booster in the ocean if it doesn't explode due to hitting the water. Like, they'll make sure that it, has a boom from impacting the water. Then ship engine will cut off at about 8 minutes and 5 seconds. If they have a Raptor go out on the ship, they can still manage to get into orbit, but it takes a lot longer. Well, not that much longer, but obviously there's a little bit of a thrust loss, so they have to go a little bit more. Then they'll reorient and start deploying their Starlinks that they'll just see if they can connect. And some of them, I think, will scan the ship's heat shield if it does like a roll or there's tiles on the back. I don't really know what it does. And then 11 minutes later, just under 11 minutes, it will be done. Then it will reorient again after probably doing like a flip or something to see the heat shield with the Starlinks that will scan it. Then it should do a relight demo, which will clear them for being orbital on the next flight if everything goes well, because they can actually deorbit the vehicle without it coming down naturally due to drag over time, because there's still a very sparse amount of particles that high, and it will eventually fall down. And they don't want it to come over population, especially because the fact it has a heat shield might stop it from burning up completely and allow large chunks to fall on people. And then ship reentry happens about 9 minutes later. Then Starship will be transonic, which is some parts of it are going faster than the speed of sound, some parts of it are going slower than the speed of sound. Or at least, I don't really know how transonic works, but yeah. And then subsonic, which means slower than the speed of sound. Then 2 minutes later, exactly, landing burn will start. Then it will flip up to vertical. Then it will go down to 2. Then it will go down to 1. And then it will splash down. Hopefully, the last splashdown for a while in the Indian Ocean.
Looks like SpaceX stream's gonna start here in about like 3 minutes.
Correct. And booster prop load should literally just be underway. Is gas, not steam. Yeah. And there's Scott Manley on the stream. I don't know if he's on right now, but he was on earlier. And let's just hope it flies today, because people are being very pessimistic, saying, "No, it's not going to fly today." But that looks like a way clearer sky compared to yesterday of, well, let me just demonstrate for you. This is what it looked like yesterday. And they did not go into prop loading, which helped, preserve a quick recycle time. Sorry. Wasn't really thinking straight. Anyway, they should be quote unquote well into loading by now, but let's see what the
There is the
news
post from.
And prop load has begun. Confirmed by SpaceX. Tower vent is, going about, and it's slowly coming to a stop, because now they don't want to vent the liquid, they want to put it in the ship and the booster. So this means that they're essentially, I believe, there you can see some of the ice fall off the tower vent there. But this means that they're basically...
It's the stream started, by the way.
Okay. They're essentially locked in for the top of the window being in 30-ish minutes. Which, they must have delayed it a slight bit. Because if it's 34 minutes away, that would be 6:50. But, yeah, that's still basically the top of the window. You give or take a little bit. And that means that with all going well, we should see a splashdown in about, I don't know, probably right before 8 o'clock of the ship, specifically. Nice, only 720p. Go SpaceX. Is this like a special intro? Starship hype.
Here's ignition. We have liftoff. We have 33 healthy Raptor engines.
Oh, turn that off a bit.
And hot staging, look at that.
It hot staged in the wrong direction last time because the ship had its engines turned on in a weird pattern. Anyway, SpaceX, yeah, your hosts can come on any minute now. I wonder if this render of Mars has been stitched together from like photos, or if it's just guesswork. Probably a little bit of both. Casey, still there, Bubbas?
Right here.
Alright. Hadn't heard you speak in a while. Yeah, there's not really much to talk about, other than the fact that it almost, not necessarily, but kind of looks like a time lapse. If you look at the booster fueling, and the ship fueling, I guess, too, it goes so quick. I mean, they load basically 10 Falcon 9s of propellant in the time it takes to load a Falcon 9. Or just over, I think. Let's watch the SpaceX hype video now. If we couldn't get enough hype. This was probably top moments from SpaceX ever. Oh, okay, I accidentally PIP'd it. But yes, Booster Catch, I remember watching that live. I don't have my reaction, and I'll forever be sad about that. I wish we weren't stuck watching in 720. Go SpaceX! Oh, thank you. It updated to 4K. I'm particularly nervous for this flight.
And welcome to Starbase, Texas. It's 5:19.
It's like unlucky number 13. Although maybe it's reverse luck, because lucky number 7 did not go so well, so maybe vice versa will happen, you know?
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a clear flight through basically the ship landing burn, honestly. I'm enjoying this new GPU. I thought I like broke my computer earlier, and then it finally booted up, and then I ushered everyone out of the room when it said boost or computer could not be diagnosed. So I was like, okay, what part got bricked? And then I just rebooted it and it worked, and it hasn't, and I've done it anymore, and I've rebooted it like 3 times. And then Task Manager wouldn't recognize it, so I had to go do driver updates, at least go through like the Windows recognition. I don't know what it's called. And then I downloaded AMD Adrenaline software, which I should have already had because I have an AMD CPU. Now I have a red on red build. I just realized. You know, AMD is Team Red and NVIDIA. And I never thought I would have gotten a AMD graphics card ever. Because usually I was like, they're buns. But I only really needed a lot of VRAM, and that's what they tend to have. Is this you trying to re-AnyDesk?
Yeah, it like kicks you out because we have the free.
Suborbital mission also opens the door for near future orbital flights.
Near future
and our
orbital
first
flights. Please say the
attempt
next
to
one
catch
is
ship on Tower 2 here at Starbase.
What is that little pond?
Day for the Starlink team, as well as we're planning to deploy 20
The skies look a lot clearer.
Starlink satellites.
Were you watching NSF's stream yesterday? I know I'm like the rocket guy
For
of us
like-
two.
A second, because I wanted to see what the skies look like.
I think we're bad.
I could just tell that like
Bad, probably not bad enough to launch on a normal constraint, or not launch on a normal constraint, But the fact is, they're trying to look at the heat shield because they're gonna try doing something different and not throttle down for max pressure during ascent, maximum aerodynamic pressure. So they just want to see if it can handle it without the heat shield being cooked. I think it will. I mean, come on, it's a stainless steel rocket. And most importantly, it's pressurized. It's essentially a controlled version of a noun for something that goes boom. I don't want to say it on YouTube. I don't want to get like kicked. Anyway, there's Dan Hewitt. He used to work at NASA. He even then he cameoed on some SpaceX streams because when they did like NASA SpaceX crossover missions, like crew demo missions, he was there.
Startup due to issues with their ox turbo pumps.
LOX turbo pumps.
Those rapidly pressurize and feed liquid oxygen into the engine for combustion. For those of you that like to pay real close attention to the on-screen telemetry, you saw this at T0 during that first attempt. We command the engines to start up simultaneously.
They replaced even more engines than I think just the two that they said they were.
We saw 4 not light up, so 4 out of 33. What exactly happened? We have a launch constraint built in where we can only be down 2 Raptor engines at liftoff, so the vehicle detected more than that were out, automatically aborted before the final T0 safely.
It used to be 3.
All of the engines that
I guess they're
up.
being tighter on their
We dug through
constraints.
the data, and what we saw was some off-nominal spin response in the ox turbo pumps on 6 of the engines. So the most likely root cause was determined we were collecting some moisture inside of the pumps from previous operations, which then froze when we introduced that cryogenic.
That's never ever been a good thing.
Either slowed those pumps down or stopped them completely from spinning. So for this next flight attempt,
there's a really interesting video. I forgot who it was by. I think it's CSI Starbase. You should go watch them if anyone's watching. If you really want the nitty-gritty nerdy stuff. Basically, way back in the V1 days, Flight 3 and Flight 2 both had failing boost back burns. Because, I think one of them was because of water hammering, which was Flight 2. Or at least liquid hammering. But Flight 3, at least as speculation, had a bunch of quite literally like snow falling inside of the tanks because it is what is known as autogenously pressurized, which means it's using some of the gas that comes out of the engines to repressurize the tanks, but some of the gas that is coming from the engines is very small amounts of water and actually not so small amounts of CO2, which made it dry ice, but also ice. And I don't remember which one was the most dense. I think it might have actually been CO2, so it's not technically snow, but there were sheets of carbon dioxide, basically solid, that were freezing and, you know, becoming like little snow pellets, clogging up the engine filters and whatnot. And in the booster, after that, I think what they did was they added a bunch of, like, baffles across the tank, so that it will slowly, you know, trap all the snow, while still letting the liquid through. Because it wasn't like a strainer or anything, because they don't want to fill the holes. It was like a grated, or it was like almost like a cheese grater maybe, where, you know, it could still let some of the snow through, where it wouldn't like block up the snow on the holes, but the hope was that the snow wouldn't even fall on the holes in the first place, because I guess there was so little, like it wasn't a straight path down to the engines. They had to go through some holes, then they had to go through another set of holes, possibly rotate it a little bit, then another set of holes, then another set of holes. Also, look how fast they're loading the fuel. Just FYI. I think it's like 700 gallons a second, maybe? That's insane, by the way. I wonder if there are internal pipes. Probably not, right? That allow the ship and booster to actually end up filling from the top, even though they connect from the bottom. Because I feel like, I know there's some sort of mathematical equation that doesn't mean you have to fight against all of the liquid on top. But some of it, I didn't know if the pumps would be strong enough to do that consistently and successfully. but they seem to be able to fill from the bottom so far, even when they're just topping off and there's millions of pounds of liquid above them. I mean, there's got to be. I wonder how it connects to the downcomer for the methane, because the tanks are stacked vertically. So I don't know how they're able to fill the methane from the bottom, unless it's filling a pump into the downcomer, which is like a giant Falcon 9 size tube, at least for the booster, in the middle. That connects the methane tank to the engines. But sorry, I had to do it because I always say but so oh, that was tough. Yeah, there's not really much to mention right now. I guess I could always do next major milestone, which means next major milestone is going to be engine chill for both booster and ship. Which, because we know engines, at least we would think, get really, really hot, but actually, I think in most cases with these engines, most of the surface area gets really, really cold because they're using cryogenic propellants to cool it. And to avoid the engines being thermally shocked, and probably to prevent gas bubbles from the liquid being basically evaporated into a gas insanely quickly, they add a little bit of propellant at a time through the engines to keep them pre-chilled. And if they show us like a final wiggle check or whatever from the engines, which they usually do, like a gimbal check, you'll see that they're very, very frosty because they're like only a minute away from flying. Then after that, fueling will conclude in a staggered sequence between the booster and the ship. And then go for launch. If there's a flag that comes up, they can recycle to 60 seconds for, I think according to Dan, during the last flight, 5 to 8 minutes, but I feel like we've seen them hold longer, but they know the secret sauce. There might have been procedural changes. Speaking of procedural changes, they no longer recycle to 40 seconds, but rather to 60. Anyway, after 17 seconds, they can't recycle the count because they have already, at least at the bare minimum, put water through the pipes of the water deluge. And maybe even had some water spurt out, which just is, I guess, a waste. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but essentially, after 17 seconds until liftoff, if a flag comes up that's not major, they can't recycle. They have to, at the bare minimum, go 24 hours. Hey, here's one of my favorite nerdy things.
Too much heat. If you melt this, you're hotter than aluminum melts. If you melt this, you're hotter than zinc melts. If you melt this, you're hotter than copper melts. If you melt this, you're hotter than Sharpie melts. So we're sub-Sharpie.
The water deluge, even though they're holding it back millions of pounds of thrust, yeah, it's still colder than like Sharpie would melt off. Because you could obviously see after a static fire, they went in the trench, and the copper and the zinc and the, I think it's aluminum, are still there on the side, plus the Sharpie that they used to write on them to mark. So yeah, it works well. And there's essentially an Olympic swimming pool getting drained every, I forgot what the unit of measurement of time is, but maybe like every minute, a unit, or every minute or so, or at least every cycle of the water deluge, they empty about an Olympic swimming pool worth of water. As you can probably see from the scale of how big it is. And you know, once the water starts coming, there's, at least for the effect of not destroying your systems, there's really no stopping it. You kind of have to let it spurt down gradually. Unless you want to, like, probably mess up some of your valves and whatnot that aren't rated to handle the pressure of stopping it completely instantly. Or at least, and do it consistently. I mean, they've got to have fail-safes if for some reason there's, like, a crew that was trying to hide on the pad. But yeah, they used to not close out the road. I don't know if they did for just some tests, or now they do it consistently, but when they test the deluge, the road used to be open, and some NASA spaceflight members were actually out there, you know, looking at their cameras at the time, and just driving by Starbase in general, and got surprised by a deluge test, and got covered in water, although it might have been intentional. But yeah, a suspension. I think DOS from NSF described it as, like, it's essentially one of those splash zones at a water park, or at a, like, a, you know, a resort where if you want to get splashed, you can get splashed. You know, go by the roller coasters or whatever. Hopefully, I don't sound that bad because I just moved my mic again. But here's Kate and I don't remember his name, but Kate Tice and her co-host.
Starship version 3. It's the most powerful
I just wonder
rocket
what's up.
ever developed and ever flown.
And it's also the tallest at just over 407 feet tall, fully stacked. It is massive. Standing at the base and
It's
looking
essentially
up
a
is like
skyscraper.
looking up at a 40-story building. Incredible.
Yes,
A
it's
40-story building.
two-stage rocket. Both stages are designed to return to Earth and fly again, making that thing that you see on your screen the first fully reusable rocket ever. The bottom half,
First
or the
fully
first
reusable
stage,
ever?
is the super
I
heavy.
think they should have added the word orbital because, like, things like New Shepard were reusable. Doesn't really mean that they were orbital,
Now,
though.
Raptor 3 engines. They run on
There's a
liquid
Raptor 3, and there you can kind of see. I think that's just CO2 purging, really, not necessarily the frost yet. But they're purging down there, making sure there's no explosive gas. But, yeah, here's the comparison of how quick they get off the pad. V1 versus V2 versus V3. I think they purposely chose the slowest V1 flight, because that's Flight 1, where they held down for as long as basically it took, and they launched with the maximum amount of engines out to commit to a launch. So, yeah, cooked.
Screen now. They help steer during landing. They're 50% larger than on
Where can I
previous
hide my
booster
mouse?
versions and are designed to support rapid
I
reuse and a
returned.
more stable
Oh,
atmosphere.
you came back. I didn't know that
I
you
love
left.
that shot.
I texted you.
Well, I haven't really been texting or checking my phone. It was on silent, so maybe I should. Maybe that's a sign that I should not have them on silent, and you said the RB 2 minutes ago. Anyway, Starship and Super Heavy, you can see where they separate. Even without that graphic, I feel like it's pretty easy to see where they separate. Yeah. Anyway, you can see a little bit of venting here and there, just keeping pressure stable. Especially this quote-unquote early into fueling. They don't really want to completely flight pressurize it too early. And who is this?
Hey, thank you both. I'm Tyler Lionquist, and I'm a Starlink business. Thanks.
Starlink and Tyler Lionquist. I feel like I've heard her before, seen her before. You can see kind of in the blurred out background, that's the trajectory of Starship. And now you cannot. But here's what V3 looks like. Allow me to just be a walking, talking ad for SpaceX.
The installation on mission as compared to the version 2 satellites that we launch on Falcon. And that means that we'll be able to serve more people all around the world and with increasingly better high-speed internet. Like all Starlink satellites, the V3s are built at Starlink's site in Redmond, Washington, where we already build more satellites than anyone else in the
I
world
wonder how
today.
they transport them.
Now, the
Genuinely.
V3
I don't know,
sats are
probably just
designed
by
to
like a
support
big
1
truck.
terabit per second of downlink and 160 gigabits per second of uplink capacity. That's approximately a 10 times improvement in downlink capacity and around a 22 times increase in uplink capacity from the version 2.
That's so tough. Both physically hard to do and cool. Anyway, 16 minutes, everything looks to be nominal. I'm very jittery. It'll be about 25 minutes until I can finally breathe a sigh of relief about Seco and whatnot. I'll be very sad if Ship 40 fails. Imagine that. Like, knock on wood, it doesn't blow up on the pad, or it does. Yeah, knock on wood, like, I would be so mad if it blew up on the pad. But if it blows up elsewhere, still bad, but not horrible. I guess there's a lot economically riding on this launch, because people who, I don't think really know too much about spaceflight in general, just say, oh, rocket don't go, rocket bad. Like, they literally lost a lot of value because of the scrub of Flight 13 like a week ago. It's like, I feel like they should give you a mandatory whatever before you invest in SpaceX, just saying, hey, rocket scrubs are not that bad. Don't randomly decide to pull all your money out. And also, anyone I don't know I don't know the first thing about investing, but I don't think it was really the smartest move for anyone who actually thought they were going to grow their money. Is that a view inside the payload bay right now? That looks a lot different. Sir, what the heck? No, there's no way. Those look like googly eyes. Wow.
Tests, such as extending the new solar arrays. We'll only have about 20 minutes of flight to speed run some of these tests before the sat's demise in the atmosphere. The team will attempt to run tests.
Oh yeah, that's
such
definitely
as
a smiley
extending the
face,
new
Chase.
solar
Look.
arrays and antennas, connecting with ground stations, and turning on the satellite's communication
Look at that, Chase.
systems. And this is
I saw.
Smiley. Yay. And here's their normal Starlink ad, which is like, cool, bye Starlink, I guess. I mean, it'll probably end up being pretty useful for a lot of people. Go lag, let's go.
Doll, whole bunch of stuff really focused
I'm just
on
nervous,
what are the
man.
three
I'm like,
limiting factors to making data centers in space
I'll put this up here
reality.
now.
First one we talked about was mass to orbit. That's where Starship comes in. We're going to need megatons into low Earth orbit, and we're going to be combining its full reusability and the really big payload capacity.
Nope.
Them.
Nope, don't do this to me.
High volume, low cost launches. A couple of really key reasons why moving data centers to space
Oh yeah,
has
they're adding
advantages
data
over-
centers to space instead of on the ground, which, you know what? I'll take it. I'd rather not have data centers be cooled by water that we drink. I know it's not, comparatively speaking, that big of a deal. And, yeah, but it's still a deal. The only one thing I will disagree with, as I know nothing probably on
years
with like SpaceX and whatnot, and just like Elon Musk's goals in general, is solar power is not that nice compared to something like nuclear power. Nuclear is like low risk, high reward, and just because of a few accidents, you know, God rest the souls of the people who died, but it's really overblown to be as scary as it is. Per unit of energy, I think there's like, I don't remember what it was, maybe megawatt or whatever, gigawatt maybe. There's like 0.002 deaths, or 0.02 deaths, compared to like 2 deaths for the coal and oil industry, so that's a good thing.
this
Come on, do this, please. Please. I'm so alone. Nothing feels like home. I'm so alone. Trying to find my
conversation
way back
site.
home
Hopefully
to
a link
you.
appears on the screen. If not, go look up
Ooh.
Starmind. So the future is looking pretty sweet, but first things first, we've got Flight 13 ahead. Let's jump down to Kate
So I
and
don't think
Nate
you can
for what's
have
ahead.
this pre-selected
And
if you wanted
yeah,
to
the future
not have the live bar there. So we'll see what I end up doing.
today's test. It's built on
I'll try to
progressive
let you guys
steps
listen
like
to audio
today's
after terminal
test.
count.
So let's dive into the flight profile that we're going to see today.
Once you
right,
can
we've
no
got an
longer hear it,
exciting
I
day.
will take back over. I'm purposely trying to like put it somewhere where it's not
Gulf of
tiny.
America.
America. Even in a like non-nationalistic America kind of way, it's still in the Americas. Why isn't it called the Gulf of America? I mean,
Well, it is now.
not
I need to move
internationally.
this back. Oh, yeah, it's only for the US, right?
Yeah.
To a suborbital trajectory followed by
You can see the trajectory. We're only 10 minutes away from liftoff, which has me a little shaky wakey.
blistering.
Well, I'm trying to get rid of this bar here, but
Alright, we are 10 minutes away.
hopefully
I think if you just
nothing-
News,
I think if you just don't touch it, it'll go away, right?
T-minus 10 minutes. We're a little bit past that now, not tracking any issues for launch.
Okay. I thought I just heard the word news and I was like, is that good news, bad news? During the first, oh, you can see the flaps are actuating on the ship. Slowly, but they are. Now they're coming back out to full. And yeah, just stretching its legs.
Kind of adverse weather we can fly into, we are capable and allowed to launch in. That new capability carefully as we eventually continue to evolve but we're going to we can fly into, we are capable and allowed to launch into Lightning, but we're going to utilize
allowed to launch
that new
into Lightning?
They are? What?
the header tanks on Starship. Those are the two smaller ones up top that we'll hopefully be using for the in-space burn and a landing burn at the end of its mission. We started loading our propellant at about T-minus 35 minutes today, and we're going to continue all the way down until we're inside 3 minutes to launch. We'll close out at about T-minus 2 minutes and 50.
I can't do anything about the fact that it won't let me get rid of the bar, I don't think. I don't know what I did to not make it happy. Oh.
Just don't touch it.
Yeah, but now I want to make sure I'm on 2160p. Nice! Go SpaceX! Go Starship! Go lag!
I think that might be your fault.
What did I do? There we go. I can just reflex it or reset it like that. It should go away. There we go. But now I can't just hit M for the audio, so I'm going to have to very awkwardly at launch scramble so that you can hear it after terminal count. I believe these are the Artemis 3 astronauts that will go up with a Starship that's basically just going to get pulled off the production line, have a nose cone. I wouldn't say retrofitted to it, because I'm pretty sure they'll know which one it is when it's time. But they're going to put a nose cone on it, or nose cone docking port, dock to Orion, have the astronauts do a bunch of stuff. I don't think they're going to have a pressurized section of Starship. They just want to practice rendezvous and docking, not necessarily going inside Starship or looking at a crew cabin or anything. If that makes any sense. Guys, trust me, totally. RGB totally makes your computer go faster, trust. I need to fix it because for some reason it's only using my controller app for the main or the CPU fan, but all the case fans are connected to or taking from the case monitor. I wish I knew what they were talking about. Here's to a successful launch, send it. Nice. And there's a lot of, you can kind of see the viewing area for both, just outside the exclusion zone. I believe this is where the pad would be, right? Nice, I accidentally paused it. Let's go! Yay, Callan!
We're all the way back. Good job, Callan.
I just want to make sure
W streamer.
W Callan. Callan messes up stream. W Callan. No one's watching live, really. Hopefully we
You have to lock in for all of the little snippets, because I'm literally, when it shows up on the stream, I'm gonna post it.
As soon as
I'm gonna post it.
Well, I wouldn't look away for too long, but as soon as Seco happens, you can look away for 10 minutes, and then not really 10 minutes, but as soon as ship engine cuts off and we're in a nominal orbit, yeah.
Like nominal orbital insertion?
Yeah. Should I say the real? I don't know if they're going to go straight into a nominal or into a transatmospheric orbit. I know they do after reignition of the engine. I guess how I'll check from my perspective is to go on the vehicle tracker. Maybe you'll be able to see the trajectory once it's actually done, and I can say nominal vehicle or nominal transatmospheric orbit insertion or nominal trajectory or nominal suborbital trajectory insertion.
Also, during your T-minus 10, move your cursor out of the way.
Like here?
And then make sure the bar is that way.
I've been hiding it. Now your cursor's on the screen. You're gonna have to move it. Nice.
Oh, is that me?
Go Chase, we support you.
I can't. Well, I mean, that's fine over there, because it's going to be 9 by 16.
16.7? Well, after terminal count, the bar
It says session will be closed in 5 minutes.
What?
Like we're gonna have to reset any desk in 5 minutes.
Just do it now.
Okay.
Because 5 minutes will be literally after launch. Just barely. I don't know if they're anticipating a hold. I genuinely kind of wish they would hold just so I can get my bearings straight for 30 seconds or whatever, how long it takes to them. So hopefully it's a minor hold though, not like a giant, oh, this pin won't retract. We're gonna have to recycle back to 24 hours.
They put a lot of. This is an unlucky attempt. Is this the third? I said second on the thumbnail,
Second
but
stream, third overall attempt, because last time they didn't get in to our streaming window.
yeah.
But I know the tanks are probably more full than they look. They just haven't had the ice catch up to the top. But it feels like they're not completely full yet. They're filling so fast that the ice barely has the time to keep up. Yeah, I wouldn't put that all the way down. But, apparently I've dropped 9,000 frames by accident, but...
The flame diverter on pad 2,
By
you can
accident?
see it there at the
Yeah. Obviously I'm not purposely dropping frames. I think it's more of an internet thing at this point. Not a computer capability thing, because I don't think my CPU is sweating, and I have a 6800 graphics card now. What are you mocking me for?
Nothing.
No, it was something. I want to like get it to be as close to live as possible. There we go. Nice. As soon as I say I wanted to get it close to live as possible,
What is happening?
I just keep cycling back so that I can press the live button to make it actually be as live as possible. I feel like they should make like an auto, like if it stutters, they'll say like in the bottom right corner, auto updating to live, and it will skip a few seconds forward instead of just going to back where you left off before the buffering. But you can see they are basically depressurizing the lines now, pushing back probably with I think nitrogen, maybe oxygen, just really doing anything to get methane out of the lines because they don't want the tower to explode. Yeah.
But now closing out on both vehicles, we have
fully
no
loaded.
holds on the board.
No holds on the board. We are T-minus 2 minutes, or less than, really. You might have to just deal with the white bar, not the bottom, honestly, because I don't really want to keep going in and out to reset it after launch happens.
That's fine.
Or right before launch. Here you can see it's frosty. They're probably about to do a wiggle check, and I called it. These Center 13 engines actually are able to gimbal or angle so that they, impart a side force on the rocket with thrust. And I can hear that you're trying to find your AirPods.
How do you know?
I can just hear it. Anyway, 1 minute, 15 seconds. Everything looks good. But let's listen in. Let's listen, make sure there's no holds. And clock is rolling, T-minus 55 seconds.
All right, we are through the gate.
Listen in for
Still
go for
no
launch.
holds on the board. 50 seconds to go. Starship getting ready to fly.
Hopefully this time we'll actually see a launch instead of a abort. Knock on wood, of course.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Alright, we are T-minus 30 seconds.
23 seconds. Move your cursor, please.
Just click away.
Alright. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition, and liftoff. Go Starship, go SpaceX. Vehicle is pitching downrange. I kept it short that time. Anyway, vehicle appears to be ascending nominally on the 13th test flight of Starship, and
Booster Raptor chamber pressure's nominal.
And that's a good call out for the engines on the booster. Their chamber pressures are nominal. And, as you can see, we are about to be approaching maximum aerodynamic pressure, or max Q, which they are not throttling down for this time, I believe. Let me move my mic. Hopefully you don't hear this too loudly. Like, I moved my, like, right before terminal count. But they do not seem to have throttled down. Max Q, or at least about to be. And vapor cones on the ship. Oh, that's a good engine cam. Oh, that looks so good. Everything seems to be nominal. You can see pieces of... And max Q has been passed. You can see small pieces of ice and whatnot coming off because it's ice. And every engine is burning thus far.
Our next major moment's going to be coming up in just a little over a minute from now when we're going to get to hot staging. We're going to
and now that they can no longer really hear it, I'm going to take back over commentary. Next major milestone, as they had said, was hot staging, which goes in order of most engines cut off on the booster, minus the center 3 and 2 more from the middle ring. Then ship ignition in a predetermined order so that it will kind of flip the booster in a known direction, which they're going to roll for here in a second. Which I believe you can see starting to happen slowly right now. It should flip up, which is the most efficient direction. Then booster, or I guess before even stage separation, yeah, I said the engines would ignite, then stage separation. Then boost back startup with all 33 engines, which has a crazy amount of G-force. Here you can see the very hot engines. That's honestly kind of worrying to me. Not really. I know that engines are supposed to get hot in some places, like hot and cold, like I say, always. Anyway, you can see it's going up. I believe they have throttled down just a little bit as preparing for Miko. Miko. Ship ignition. Stage separation. Boost back startup. Let's go! And booster is in boost back burn with all engines this time. And you can see a little bit of venting.
Boost back burn. It looks like we lit all 33 initially. Now we're down to 13.
Now down to 13.
6 out of 6 Raptors lit.
And ship is performing nominally. And down to 3 on the booster. And boost back shutdown. Next major milestone for the booster is going to be re-entry through the atmosphere. It's okay, Kason, if that wasn't intentional. Through re-entry through the atmosphere. And for ship, it should just be basically a soft flight to its suborbital orbital trajectory, orbital speeds, and it has the capability of going to orbital altitude, but because it's not going to orbital altitude, its speed needs to be technically a little bit higher than it will be, meaning that it will intercept the atmosphere. Ship looks like it's rotating almost. But it's probably planned because A, it's like a fisheye lens, and secondly, they would really need to have had some really big screw-ups on the sea-level engines for it to be rotating in a weird way. However, it does look like it's basically hanging upwards. And it looks like it's rotating back the other way, which is... Phew! Anyway, here you can see on the booster, I'm just too scared to even look at the ship right now. Booster is rotating back, and it looks like everything is continuing to be nominal on the ship. I thought I saw an engine go out for a second, and I was scared, but I'm alright. Anyway, booster is now, essentially, I'm not going to say completely, but it's falling more down than it is sideways, I believe. And they're going to land in the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of like, oh, we want to call it this, we want to call it that. If anything, I feel like it should be called the Gulf of the Americas, because it's in North America. You can see that engine or that camera effects. But, as long as the sun remains as a reference frame for the ship being... There we go, now it's tilting in a nominal direction. Maybe it got slightly less boost than expected from the booster, but otherwise it has the ability to correct. And booster is essentially just floating down. We are at... Let me move my phone real quick because I'm recording my own reaction. T plus 5 minutes and 13 seconds. To be about 3 minutes away from ship engine cutoff. We're about halfway done with the fuel on the ship. And with the rocket equation, I'm not really sure how to explain it, but basically, fuel equals better thrust to weight equals more, speed per second, more acceleration. And you can see the ship is rolling onto its trajectory, or onto its nominal azimuth. Anyway, I would like to see a view of the booster and the ship at the same time. These engine bay views always make me a little nervous. I feel like I heard this one thing that might have just been speculation purely, but the idea that we can see the plumes from the sea levels makes me sometimes a little nervous. However, the fact is that they're next to vacuum raptors, which have their own exhaust, that is probably allowing it to be able. You know what, I'm just going to marvel in the beauty of the blue raptors, or the purple raptor engines. By the way, if you were curious, I don't know if they really showed it, but the plume can expand on the booster, and it really will, nominally, and the ship, I guess, too, as they get higher in the atmosphere, but we are approaching landing burn for the Starship booster. Super
You can see
heavy.
we're only 5 kilometers
Hopefully
above
we
the
can see
sea
some ground
right here.
views. Landing burn startup for ship, or booster?
Just heard the
And
call
that is
out
not
for
looking
landing
good.
burn startup for the
Wait,
booster.
maybe? Maybe? No way. Down to 5?
I have a feeling the crowd's about to go wild here.
Uh-oh. Boom, boom, boom. That was not nominal. But everything's alright. I can assure you that I think third time's gonna be the charm for the booster. If I had to guess, preliminarily, same issue with the original booster issues of the, snow and pressure and whatnot. Anyway, Chase, I'm pretty sure you saw it impact the ocean pretty hard. It should have hovered. I thought it would be able to have some engine out capability, but not that much. Anyway, ship continues to look onto a nominal trajectory. I'm gonna listen in just for call-outs before Seco. This is
Softer
where it's gone
splashdown, and
bad.
as you saw, it came in with quite a bit of velocity still, so landing velocity did look a little bit high.
A little bit.
But
And here's
really
the dog
cool to
leg
make it all the way
maneuver.
back this time to that landing burn. We'll dig in, figure out how to try.
This time. I really thought
all
this would
eyes
be
on
the
ship.
flight. As long as ship does good, ship should go orbital next time with a booster landing out in the Gulf again. And here it's doing that dogleg trajectory, and it should rotate back here any second now. Because it's basically threading the needle between, I think, Cuba and some other country. Maybe the Turks and Caicos. But as you can see, it's about to rotate back again. Or at least it stopped rotating. And ship engine cut off.
Engine shut down.
Hopefully we get a nominal orbit call. Usually they would stagger the engine shutdown, so hopefully that was good.
Starship 6 Raptor engines have successfully shut down.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And so they have changed it. Nominal orbit. Chase, cheers. I obviously can't drink, and you can't drink either, but maybe we'll cheers to some, water or something on call later. I know, Kason, it sounded dumb, but that was exciting.
Yeah! It's fun!
Ship is on... Shh.
I hope it blows up. Oh, that would be nice.
My brother's yelling, I hope, or saying he hopes it blows up because I told him to shut up because he was being loud on purpose.
I wasn't.
Anyway, on a nominal trajectory, booster had an interesting time out in the Gulf, but I think third time will be a charm for the V3 booster. I said if anything would go wrong with V3, it would be the booster side, but yeah, everything's looking good. I was really hoping next flight would be like a double catch attempt, but I think it will actually be pretty interesting that the ship might be caught next time for the first time ever. Probably won't be, honestly. It'll probably just be landing out in the Gulf of Americas, as I'm just going to call it for being PC. But that looked good. What do you think about that, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they'll get it on the next one.
I mean, coming back from what was on Flight 12 with the booster, ooh, at least they made it through boost back.
Yeah.
And it was slowing down, it didn't give up. Really, the data-rich ability there. But now ship is slowly turning itself and rolling itself at the same time to basically, I believe, be in a position where the Starlinks, at least based on previous flights, will go prograde, which means in the direction of the ship. Yeah, it will launch the things prograde, but they should have enough ability to get away from it far enough where they'll be on a slightly different orbital plane by the time of reentry. So they shouldn't smack into the ship, even though they'll be in front of it. And they added on, I think, Chase, I don't know, I know they had some of these weird square, like, tiles last time, but I think they added a lot more because of the way that the heat is affecting the ship. I'm so excited. Tomorrow I can start playing DCS in VR because my RAM should come. Maybe I should try it tonight just to see if it works with the GPU. I would say my computer's uptime today has been probably 4 hours. I've just been leaving it on in the background. I know GPUs don't need to be broken in. I just really wanted to stress test it, make sure I didn't screw anything up, especially because of the fact that it was a hard install. Next time I take that GPU out, it's gonna be to sell it in hopefully many years, or to clean my computer out. Or not clean my computer out, but to trade cases, because I'm not putting it out to take it back or put it back in. Anyway, you can see the ship is kind of rolling and whatnot. Hopefully they manage a nominal trajectory, because I swear if they lose attitude control again for the 3rd time on a ship, I will cry. Chase, you can kind of see that it's leaning. Oh, maybe just because of the way that the thrusters are positioned, it was more efficient for them to do like a sort of half flip up, half flip sideways. But now it's essentially flipping itself downwards, as you can kind of see, right? If you look at this little ball nav thing, I think it would usually for deploy be facing up, but I don't know really. But they're getting closer to payload deploy, and it looks like they have control of it from what I can tell. Are we sure, little bro? Maybe this needs a little bit of a reload, because they said nominal orbit, and that's not where it would be on a nominal trajectory. There we don't go. Hopefully it doesn't end up splashing down there. On orbit, it says, but I don't know. I think it's technically supposed to be on orbit, but everyone calls it in
Awesome
orbit.
shot.
A little bit high. And that was a crash. Good thing you didn't catch it. Perfect landing. Are we sure, bro? They didn't have a speed graphic, and I wish they did.
Hey, it's my turn next with a little sweat waiting for it to.
As I am right now, I'm shaking.
I want to hear the reaction.
Just shy of
Sorry.
I think, which is like our patch.
And that is more. We have. Looks like we had a flash, but nothing more. We had a few engines igniting, not all of them, and that is an explosion.
RIP Booster 20. I think it worked well enough for a good, ignoring any possible hiccups. Okay, yeah, Chase, I think we can tell that it's on a nominal trajectory now. I think they've switched to launching them retrograde, because you can see, I don't know, wait, maybe this is still prograde, because, yeah. No, this is still prograde. This is the direction that it's coming from, not where it's going to. But, payload door should open any minute now, being right here. Right above the docking ports, or at least the pseudo-docking ports. But yeah, I think the next flight, if they do an engine ignition, should be orbital. Oh, Chase, look at that. Hopefully that's a good thing, Chase, if you're looking.
I'm not looking.
Can you look for
right
just
now.
a second? One of the... I don't know if this is called a Ullage thruster or a hot gas thruster. There's both on the ship, I believe. But it's... I would assume it's Ullage, because it's spreading out little tiny pieces of ice every few seconds. Microscopic, really, but... Yeah, there. Yay, go ahead and blur it. Anyway, ship is entering payload deploy. You know, I was gonna give like a, oh yeah, there's a good pulse from Lil Bro. I know that was cringy, Kason, I know, but it's really spurting now. I feel like they really beefed up the systems on Starship V3 to be able to basically maintain attitude a lot better, because both on V2 and V1 they had a flight where it didn't work so well. On Flight 3, I believe a vent got clogged, and it was a major vent, and they weren't able to use their pressure to maintain attitude. And then on Block 2, there was an atom diffuser, or atomizer, also known as the diffuser. I think they're both, like, they're interchangeable. In the payload bay, that's also why the payload bay couldn't open, because it couldn't equalize the pressure without spinning the ship out of control. Because it would have to vent the pressure to somewhere before they could open the door. And then, if they did, it would spin the ship out of control because there was so much pressure in there, because the diffuser that would allow ullage pressure popped, basically, and allowed for a bunch of pressure to leak into the payload bay that should be in the tank.
As many tests as possible. Deploy the solar arrays,
Yay,
antennas,
Granny.
whatever we can on these vehicles. We are
But
intentionally
at least
being
now
a
we
little
know that the
scrappy
ship
with
is
it.
working
they might
well.
Be playing some bumper
Oh,
cars once they're
my
out of the
GPU, by the
door.
way, was such a tight fit
But we
that I
are-
couldn't even put back one of the brackets in. The only downside of that means there's going to be like a bunch of spiders on my computer one day, and I'm going to cry. Well, because it's where, I think they're called PCIe brackets. PCIe brackets, I took 2 of them out. No, 3 of them. I only think I needed 2 out, but then there's a door next to it that makes it so you can actually unscrew them, and there goes the first payload. I thought it got stuck. But there we go. And then it's gonna either reset itself or just stay there, and then it's gonna go itself. I think you can maybe start to see it crawl. And there goes the second real Starlink version 3. And I think they're gonna basically
these are real?
Yeah. They're not gonna be able to stay in orbit for long because they're still on the same suborbital trajectory. I'm really gonna have to send Chase a video about orbital mechanics simplified, and he's really gonna have to take his notes on it. Because basically they're at an orbital speed right now, and at a technically orbital altitude, but they have to go just a little bit faster at this altitude to be in full orbit. If they were up maybe 200 kilometers more, this would be a perfect speed to keep going. It's just because the closer you are to Earth, the faster you have to be to avoid hitting it. You're basically falling around it. I would love to see what's going on inside the payload bay, if they're successfully switching the grappling, and it obviously did, because there goes the third satellite. I wish they released all the public views on, like, one stream. Like, all the views that they will show the public. And there goes the fourth.
When will they be released? Like tomorrow?
Are you talking about, like, the video from the satellite? That's not what I meant. I mean, like the isolated launch views and whatnot, so that the people could choose what they want to watch. As long as it's not, like, ITAR regulated. Like, I would love to be able to just choose the flap cam. Or choose the payload bay cam.
Oh. I feel like you're able to do that on like one platform. I forgot where, but
I know NASA
yeah, that'd be
Spaceflight
really
has their
cool.
own launch cameras that you can choose if you remember, but it's not SpaceX speed.
How much is a membership?
Like $1. No, $2
Oh,
maybe?
I can do that.
However, that would be very copyrighted to show publicly, especially because they're you're paying, it's behind a paywall, not just for public use. And there goes 5 and 6. You know, I don't want to jinx it. I think it was Alex or Adrian on NASA Spaceflight once said, you know, it's like, when will this thing fail? And then 2 seconds later, the door jammed. On Flight 3, I think it was, when they were like, you know, I wish they had just gone all in on Flight 4 and decided to keep trying, even though, like, they didn't want to do any of the door tests. They really just wanted, for Flight 4, the only objective was to get to re-entry, basically, right?
Alan, do you want
Well, there's 7, and 8 should follow. There we go. I'm just gonna look it up real quick. Really quickly to see if there is an isolated launch view site, which I'm pretty sure there isn't, but Whoa.
Now, do you want NASA Spaceflight Red Team?
Sure. Make sure you get it on CNC.
Yep.
I know, like, they post them after for certain things, like Artemis 1, they had isolated launch views. Yeah, they're...
Okay, Callan, we're a member.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you for buying it. But yeah, now we're just waiting. Satellite after satellite. After they're done at about 2 plus 27 minutes, and there goes another one. They will deploy... Or, sorry, they will reorient so that they can do an engine burn to do a relight demo. And, yeah, after that, they're basically cleared to go to full orbit. Even if the booster on the next flight won't be caught, because they're probably going to do a out in the Gulf simulation, or if they're really trying their luck, they'll go for a catch, but they'll have a contingency where they can abort it out into the ocean or something. If all the engines don't light, they can immediately point it towards the ocean, or like something like that, you know? Or double contingency, they could keep the FTS running, or disable it and then re-enable it when it's like a kilometer above the pad.
So you wouldn't show those cameras on the live?
No, because it's copyrighted and whatnot, and it's their own. And there goes another satellite. You can almost tell when they're coming, because I feel like there's a slight reflection that you can tell almost, maybe. And there goes its pair. These satellites, out of view, obviously, are speedrunning their...
Wait, do we get a membership shout out?
Only for certain high levels out on the end of the stream. But they will... Wait, no, they will shout us out eventually, when they go back through shoutouts. If it would have let you, you should have said, like, a question. If it would have let you add a message with your memberships. I know you can with super chats, obviously, because it's a super chat. But I've been out trying to ask them what are their top 5...
What?
What are their top 5 ranked launches per member of NSF? Like, you know, each person, what do they think is the best launch? And there goes number 1 million billion. I haven't really been keeping track, but its pair should come out any second now.
I think it's 13. It's 13.
Okay.
People are saying 13.
14. Yeah, boy. Unless this is the end. I think there were more than 14, but they're clapping it up over at Starbase. Or maybe that's Hawthorne, I can't really tell.
All of the team
I think it's
members that
Starbase.
have helped build the vehicle, that I have built the Pez dispenser and got it ready to fly today.
Sharish is sending me a chat.
Now, for those of you that have
No, I'm not doing that.
a spaceship
I would
in your
kill
screen
him if he said that to me. Not really. Not
right
really. That's a
now,
joke. I shouldn't really
the
make jokes
ship
about that kind of
is
stuff.
in,
But
orbital
Sharish, whatever,
darkness, so
said,
we don't
I
have
should
any
tell you I'm a
visible
flat earther.
sunlight
And I
from
said,
the sun.
I'm not the kind of guy. Oh, there's another Starlink satellite. So obviously they weren't done.
Yeah, he literally told me to say that I was a flat earther.
And he told me to say vice versa. He's really desperate, bro. Like, we're literally not popular. Like, our least popular streams. You have to do, like, we should do, like, a stream rerun on TikTok. Say, like, this is a rerun of a stream. But he's probably begging you right now to be a part of something. Anyway. They're right by South America, and they'll be passing over Africa here in a little while. I don't know why the SpaceX thing isn't updated. It said they're going to come down right between Africa and South America because of their low speed, but that's obviously not happening. They're at a stable altitude for now. And now all they have to do is wait on passive slowing. There goes another satellite. You get a satellite. You get a satellite. I don't know if they count the payload bay door closing and all of the, ending as part of the thing, but if they don't, then the last satellites should come out around 27 minutes, and if they do, they should be coming out really soon. There goes its pair. And as I was trying to say, I don't know what Chase interrupted me with. I'm not mad or anything, but I think that they're speedrunning their objectives of scan the heat shield if the ship does a flip, or they have heat shield tiles on the opposite side of the ship. I can't wait for Scott Manley to deem this. I'm not gonna say he's gonna deem it a failure. Sometimes he's brutally honest though and makes catchy, not necessarily clickbait titles, but kind of clickbait. They're like, For Flight 9, it was like Starship or SpaceX launches Starship into orbit and makes a door that won't open because there was too much pressure in the payload bay for the door to open. Kason, please stop being giggly and loud.
Huh?
I said, please stop being giggly and loud.
What?
Stop being giggly and loud.
I can't if I want. You can't stop me from laughing. I'm sorry.
I mean, I feel like
I'm not doing it on purpose.
you're not usually a giggly guy, so I'm just curious about
Oh, double standards coming in. 3, 2, 1.
what. Like they're done with
Sats
salads now.
like we had last time. These are going to basically have even when we.
In terms of satellite lifespans, 20 minutes is it's the shortest you could possibly get, but hopefully in that 20-minute time frame we can really try and ink out as many
one of the
tests as we
satellites turned their
can.
light on.
It looks like we might have some. This might actually be light from one of the Starlink satellites. As we mentioned before, a few of them, 6 of them actually, are equipped with flashlights to look back at Starship, as we want to
I am back.
image the
Right.
the heat shield.
One of the Starlinks, I think, turned their light on. Nice. Chase, I support you in full. Anyway, I think payload bay door should be closing any second now. I think they're out of satellites. Of course, I keep saying that, and there's going to be like another 10 of them, of course. Because why not? But, if the timeline is to be believed, they'll close the door basically any second now. And there goes another satellite with its light on. And there goes another satellite. Oh, hopefully we get a view from that satellite of another one deploying. Wouldn't that be insanely cool, Chase? We finally got to see a satellite deploy with, like, high fidelity. There goes another one. I know you're probably spam posting clips, but this is the kind of thing that gets me happy. And one of the Starlinks, I don't think they really have thrusters on them, but the shadow is moving up on the ship. So maybe it's just like the way it was passively deployed. Oh, no. Please, just shut the door already. I think this is a good sign that they're about to shut the door because they switched the camera to be far from the ship. And there goes the payload door closing, and another satellite has its light on. Oh my gosh, Chase, wait, what? Are those the Starlinks in the background? Look at that.
It might be.
I mean, just a few, like, feet or meters per second of difference adds up. And it's been, like, 11 minutes since they started deploying. So that might really be way back there. Oh! Oh, yes, that's definitely some of them. You can see their solar panels opening. Look right there. And it's occluded now, but that one was definitely opening its solar panels, I think. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, gosh, I can't wait for some, clips of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's basically, I think, doing a slow barbecue roll, and there are more satellites coming into view, so that it can have its heat shield scanned by the satellite. That might be why they launched them prograde, because it's rotating anyway to get into the relight demo. Look at that nifty music, Chase, or hear it.
Oh.
Checkout complete.
I believe that said
You notice
TVC check has completed, which means thrust vector control check has completed. And now they're doing flap checks. Slowly. I mean, wow, ships in suborbit orbit. I want to see where they end up, like, putting these ships. I'm gonna look at Wikipedia. Wikipedia. SpaceX. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Okay. Launch history. Oh yeah. Sorry. I believe it's Flight 12 should be right here. Where is it? I want to see their do they not have a yeah, they don't have an actual Flight 12 article. No way. Oh, yes they do. I'm gonna turn off this music. I'm sorry. But I want to see if even without the even with the relight, they're doing a transatmospheric orbit usually.
Can I have a question for you?
Technical or just random?
It's like very like technical.
It's either gonna be very technical or
And
you're trolling.
I want to know if you have an answer for it.
Sure, why not? Or throw
Okay.
it at me,
All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like rockets?
I'm gonna fight you.
Do you or not?
Yes. July 31st, you're going to catch this fade.
What's on the 31st?
Darn it. Shrish said. Shrish. Shrish. Sorry, I shouldn't make fun of them like that. Yeah, I think they might be having a little bit of an issue with downlink. You just saw the entire screen go glitchy for a second. I want to know when they come back to commentary. Not now. I'm gonna listen to it, but quietly. Because I want to know if they say any calm updates. I believe it's slightly descended. Yep, it just went down another kilometer. As expected, because it's not in full orbit. It's perigee. It's in an orbit that intersects the atmosphere, therefore transatmospheric. It's at least if going based on Flight 12. Flight 12, which is basically, this is a repeat of it, was 195 by 7 kilometers. But I believe it might be a little bit higher, because I think we saw it go to 197. Yep, it went 2 kilometers down already. Nice. There goes the flaps again. 74. And even if for some reason they skip the Raptor Relight, which I'm really hoping they don't. This is in the past I've been like, oh, cool. No, but this time it needs to happen. Because I want to see them go orbital on the next flight. And the only reason that they can't is because they need proof that they're able to relight an engine in space. To make sure it won't come down uncontrolled over a populated area. And, Chase, I'm actually going to ask this as a question to you. Do you know how they control rockets? Or, in zero-G, obviously, the fuel's going to be floating around the tanks, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how they keep the fuel settled when they're about to start an engine burn? So that they don't suck up gas bubbles?
Can you repeat that? Slower.
So, do you know how they settle the fuel towards the bottom of the tanks so that when they go to relight, it doesn't end up ingesting gas or sucking up gas bubbles?
Uh, uh, let's see. Tank pressurization, propellant management devices, special tank designs,
So,
ullage burns.
did you look it up with ChatGPT or something?
That one.
Anyway, yeah, they do. They have ullage thrusters, which is basically they just use the high pressure gas in the tank, and they open the valve, and it will settle it towards the bottom. It should be relighting in 2 minutes. Please, Dan, I want you to come back. That would be a good sign that everything's going nominal. Norminal. As John Inspector would say. Like, please. Super heavy. Trending. So, yeah, that was not expected. I mean, they had 5 engines by the time of it supposed to be landing, but it just didn't have enough thrust during the beginning of landing burn to slow down. Pretty sure it had a good enough thrust to wait to possibly slow down, but I don't think it did in time. So, any second now, they should come back and say, hey, we're about to relight the engine. I don't think there's any reason for them to skip the relight, obvious enough. Oh boy. 3 said Blood's mad, which, like, alright, man. I think you're the only Blood that would happen to be upset. You can see city lights or Starlinks in the background, I can't really tell. Oh, sounds like they're coming back.
Welcome back once again to the Flight 13 webcast. If you're just joining us, our newest version of Starship, which you see there on your screen,
And there's already
successfully
flicks of
deployed one
plasma,
Starlink
I
version
feel
3
like.
satellites. And I've got great news to share. Not only were we able to make contact with all 20, but we also made comms over lasers with all of them as well. So
Nice.
that is awesome. Hell yeah! Shout out to our Starlink
She's just a
team.
hell yeah.
We're so thrilled.
Oh
Huge
boy.
milestone, and that's only 3 minutes or 5 minutes after deploying them. I mean, that's
Okay,
crazy.
Raptor relight should happen in about a minute and some
We are
change.
expecting a relight of a single Raptor engine, and that's going to be coming up in just over a minute and a half from now.
That's right. We are going to be lighting one of our sea-level Raptor engines, and this is essentially just a demonstration that you can relight an engine after it's already done its ascent burn. And this is going to be really important when we do maneuvers for orbital missions, whether we're relighting
Alright,
to go
they're
into
kind of,
orbit.
I mean, they've already planned it, but they're essentially racing against the clock. They're going down a kilometer every 10 to 20 seconds, I think. So yeah, 146. Okay, that was 9 seconds, I believe I counted. I could be totally wrong, though.
But this is going to be a pretty critical
But
test,
Chase, I would start looking if I were you.
for what will eventually
I've been
continue to
looking.
be orbital
There's
missions.
nothing
You gotta relight those
that
engines,
interesting.
do a burn to
How dare
get
you.
yourself out of orbit.
I do wonder what these
One
clouds
thing
of stuff
that is
are.
unique on this one is we're going to be lighting it
It almost looks like they're
for a little
thruster
bit
pulses,
longer
but
of a time.
I don't know that they
We're
would still be
expecting
venting the
those burns to
tanks
be
from the
up
bottom.
to about
Oh,
14
engine graphic is up. That is a good sign.
seconds. And so that should be coming up within the next couple of seconds. Let's stand by.
Relight demo startup. Man, this is a long relight. Oh, wow. Look at that plume interaction.
You see relight there on your screen.
And relight demo shutdown.
Wow.
Wowee. I don't know what's causing that.
Confirmation over the net.
But
Relight shutdown.
that was El Nominal. And that was obviously the longest relight I think they've ever had in space. At a very low thrust, because it was only moving a few kilometers an hour per second. So that's like maybe 1 meter a second of acceleration.
We're going to be taking another quick break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes before re-entry.
And there goes the final flap test.
About T+47.
Flaps should have control of the vehicle right under, I don't know, 40, no, not 40-ish. Somewhere under like 80 to, maybe like 60 to 80 kilometers. Well, by 60. But, yeah. Just under 100 kilometers. I'm gonna go. I don't really remember when exactly they have full control of the vehicle. But, now it's essentially a race against the clock for their maneuvering pulses to put them on a nice trajectory, as you can already see by the graphic in the bottom right. It's already slightly moving its nose up, and then it's going to roll so that the heat shield is facing prograde. I think it's already on the heat shield facing prograde based on this line being facing retrograde. Now they just have to with the pulses of thruster. But 130 kilometers altitude, everything continues to be nominal. Oh, I was excited for this flight. I really thought the booster was going to do a-okay, but you know what? I'll take it. I need to not be a Debbie Downer. I'll take it. Today has been an exciting day. I got a new graphics card. It works. I'm gonna get some RAM tomorrow, unless for some reason USPS did another route run. It was barely just delayed enough to not come to my address. They'll probably end up dropping it off in the package room, which means I'm gonna have to walk across my apartment complex. Chase, do you know where the package room is?
I think so.
It's right by the office, or right by the gym. It used to be a business center, but now it's a package room. They even have a refrigerator in there for things that need to stay cold, like certain medicines. (26,684 kilometers an hour). I don't know why I'm calling that out, but as it's going towards the Earth, its relative velocity to the Earth is going up slightly. But I don't know. I think now that they've done a relight burn, they might not have to do some of the cross range things that they had to do on Flight 12 when they skipped it. But on Flight 12, they literally did like a skip reentry. They went down to, I think it was like somewhere between 65 and 70 kilometers, and then they skipped back up, and then a few kilometers, maybe even like, quite a few. I don't really remember. But then they went down again. I know for Artemis 2, they did a really big skip. And you can slowly see I don't know, I know there's a difference between a tint and a hue. I think one is darker, one's like a lighter color thing. I don't know if that you call that a tint or a hue. But around the heat shield tile, there's a very small amount of plasma. Something interesting I learned. There's peak heating, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the peak amount of heat on the vehicle, because, their heat transfer is very low, I guess, at that point, because there's not enough particles in the atmosphere. Maybe they're gonna enter banked like this for some cross range demos, or maybe they just need to get cross range. But something tells me they'll probably just push back up to vertical. Maybe that's I don't know what that was. I saw like a light blink. There might be a thunderstorm on Earth. I know you can see thunderstorms with this. Here any minute now. They're gonna be crossing sunrise, so they should land during the daytime. That's why they launch at the times that they do. That looks to me to be like thunderstorms on Earth, Chase. Every few seconds, if you look on the right camera, there will be bright pulses. Not the ones around the ship flaps, but yeah, that's definitely a
Yeah,
thunderstorm.
I saw that. Yeah, looks like lightning.
Okay, they're probably going to enter like this on purpose. I don't think they're going to be throttling up through max Q anymore. A lot of those tiles are missing on the leading edge.
Their siblings ending.
What? Actually, don't update it. I don't really want to hear about that on stream. Passing right by, I forgot what country that is off the coast of Africa, but passing by there. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, stop.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, you can see, technically they're past the Kármán line still, but there's still plasma building up from that thin amount of, atmospheric particles. But it's not thick enough for really the flaps to have any control, I don't think. Yeah, I think they're entering banked on purpose. Are they even back yet?
Starship Flight
Okay, yeah,
13, second test flight of Starship version 3. As you can see by these pretty cool views on your screen, the ship is currently re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. Now, we probably have some first-time viewers tuning in today, so let's talk about this phase.
Right, so re-entry, it's a critical phase of flight, and we need information on how the ship's systems perform. So re-entry, you can see that speed in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. We have to scrub all of that speed.
And they're still technically accelerating, just very, very slowly at this point. I wonder what their max speed will be. It's probably going to be their max speed for the whole flight. 26,802, 26,803, and they're at 94 kilometers.
Reason why we do these
26,804,
flight tests is to see how the ship performs in space
26,805.
and evaluate how it works.
Yeah,
Starlink
I'm just going to
provides
look at
one
that
more
real
path
quickly.
to collect data to help us rapidly iterate Starship's design.
Yeah, exactly. And if the ship manages to again make it all the way through re-entry, we'll collect valuable data on the spacecraft flying through the Earth's atmosphere, and it's doing so at hypersonic speeds, or more than 5 times the speed of sound. Re-entry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communications with spacecraft
Oh?
because it's
Will the speed
re-entering
go up at
at
all?
or around orbital velocity, which is
Oh, come on,
roughly
don't end on a 9.
5 per second or about 5
Yeah, there's no
miles
way. It
per
goes back
second.
up. Oh, yep.
So at those
26,809 was
speeds,
their
the
max speed.
spacecraft is moving through the atmosphere so fast that it creates a
Right now they're moving through the atmosphere, and they're able to communicate through plasma because of the fact that Starship is so big, and instead of transmitting direct to ground through plasma, their antennas are on the back of the ship facing towards space. They're transmitting to Starlink, and then Starlink is beaming it to ground, not through plasma. So I think that's pretty nifty. But here goes the ship, and I think there was a small vent.
Your screen moving around, that's actually a camera affixed to the flap.
Camera on the
So
flap.
as I was saying, we're testing these, doing these landings.
I'm nervous for some reason. I mean, reaction is always a nervous time, but I think they have enough, basically sheer willpower to make it through. Chase, I feel like you should go back and just watch clips of Flight 4. At some point, the ship had basically had one of its flaps fall apart but still stay attached, and then it tipped over in the ocean, and that's when it fell off. Now, the one interesting thing to see today is, if the ship will blow up on splashdown, as pretty much expected. It has for Flight 4, I believe, at some point, although we didn't really get after landing views. Flight 5, it did. Flight 6, it basically just sawed itself in half, which I wish we could see so that, maybe they'll tug something back home, or maybe they'll just sink it. And then Flight 7 was precluded. Flight 8 was precluded. Flight 9 was precluded. Flight 10, it blew up. Flight 11, it blew up. And Flight 12, it blew up. And there you can see it's starting to scrub off velocity, but that is far from the fastest scrubbing it will do. So we're about, really, 18 minutes from landing. This is a very slow and tedious process, honestly. Not the kind of part, I honestly kind of want to look away. I was going to say not the kind where you want to look away, but I honestly kind of do. But I'm not going to, because that would be a disservice. Oh boy, my GPU cables are so ugly. I didn't get any cable extensions. I routed them basically directly from the PSU to the 2x8 pin on my GPU. And even then, my GPU has, or the PSU actually comes with 6x2 pins times 2, so 6 plus 2 times 2. And no, don't use order of operations, because it's, I guess I should say 2 times 6 plus 2. Nope. No, because you do anything that has to do with adding or multiplication first. So sorry. No. Yes. What are you doing? How is everything grouped in PEMDOS? How is everything grouped in PEMDOS? I think it's multiplication, then division, then... So if I'm right, it should technically be okay to say 6 plus 2 times 2. Oh no, it's not. Okay, they, basically if you're doing anything with adding, I think you just look at it in order if there's no division. 6 plus 2, and then you group those last two together. 6 plus 2 times 2. So that's 6 plus 4, which would be 10. So I guess you should say 2 times 6 plus 2. It's a squirrely reentry, but I think those are just vents and bow shock and whatnot. I don't know if it's actually called bow shock. Sorry. Yeah, like put parentheses around 6+2 and then do times 2. You know what? Usually they've had better connections on other flights, but that one flap cam was not enjoying connecting. But right now they're sitting at 67.5 kilometers. Not necessarily doing a skip reentry unless I missed something. Yeah, I don't think they've done a skip reentry at all, but they're really doing like a hold reentry, if anything. Hold it up here for longer because it was descending faster previously, just so that it doesn't have so much cross range that it overshoots. That looks interesting. I know it's probably just like something to do with aerodynamics, but Chase, doesn't that look like it should be burning the other side of the ship?
It looks scary.
Are you trying to make a joke about the fact that we always say scary? No comment.
What?
Sorry. And those Raptors, you can see the serial numbers of, I think on the other side of the Raptors, they have engine numbers for the ship. E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, but also they have the general serial numbers of like 142, 150, 1 whatever. I don't really know what exact serial numbers are on the ship. But they have the serial numbers and then they have the ship numbers. And there that stopped venting, so I don't think there's really any. This looks way less scary. This is probably wallpaper worthy if you get rid of all the graphics on the bottom. The teacher, I'm not going to say who, Chase, and I don't want you to, but the teacher that my mom used to teach next to had these little tiles that she hung on her wall, and they looked exactly like Starship tiles. Because they were hexagonal, and they had no gaps in between one another or anything.
Can I say like MM? Does that like connect? Or is it not her?
No.
Who?
It was D.
Oh, P, like P?
What? No.
Like,
she's not a teacher, she's an IA. I'm making a piece of
D?
paper under my desk, and I'm just playing with it. And I'm ending up making a paper airplane with my
Who's D?
DE. Didn't you have her for first grade?
Oh, okay.
Thort. Sorry. But yeah. I'm not really looking at altitude. Maybe they are doing a skip reentry and I just missed it or something. Nah, they've just done a really slow descent reentry, but not necessarily a skip one. Yay! It's not updated at all. So I'm just trying to force it to update. There we go. 64.3 kilometers at 21,000 kilometers an hour. Coming down over the Indian Ocean off the west coast of Australia. The way it works is the last few hundred or few thousand kilometers an hour do a lot of the work for actually being in orbit. So, yeah. That's really it. At least if you look at a trajectory. But what, Chase? You said, and then it looks like you sounded like you were going to say something.
I was just gonna say that one.
Lovely. You can see the kind of shock, unless there's a tile gap there. I think that just might be the like the airflow around the what do you call it? Sorry, the ship catch pins that are covered in tiles themselves, which are these things. Maybe on the next flight, maybe if they really go, all marbles in, or all chips in, they'll try and catch it on the next flight. But I think most realistically, well, I mean, maybe, because they have done a lot of simulated landings. But something tells me they're going to overfly America, but then just land it in the Gulf. Chase, I can't wait for the next flight if that's actually what does happen, at least the first part of that. Oh, we're going to have so many...
So we're literally in the middle of this one, and you're already talking about the next one.
Well, I mean, there's nothing really... Well, I mean, obviously they're going through a re-entry, but there's nothing off-nominal or nothing interesting, quote unquote, to talk about right now. So I'm just talking about the next one. There should be so many cool views of it overflying America if they do go full orbit.
So what's the next like interesting thing for this stream?
For this stream,
Yeah.
well, hopefully here in a second it'll start to become visible with daylight on this side of the Earth, or on that side of the Earth rather. And for after that, it will slow down. It should hopefully be flying itself because it does have, terminal guidance and whatnot. I don't know if it's technically considered terminal if it's flying. No, it's not pre-programmed. I'm sorry. Maybe it is. I don't know. Because it could either have two pre-programs or it could be terminal guidance. One of them being for if it doesn't do a burn, one of them being if it does do a burn in space, and one of them being, and then the third option is terminal guidance, which is basically look at where it is and look at where it needs to be and do the, do all the cool, export restricted data things. They can obviously show us them doing it, but they can't tell us what they're doing because that's known as international, basic, what is it, international something 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 regulation, or something something regulation. It's basically you can't export footage, and you even some like of the citizens can't have any data because they'll export it, right? So there's only certain things that certain people can know, and we're not allowed to really know how it's guiding from point A to point B. Because it's technically rockets. I think by definition are really just missiles. If you want to think about it, because rockets just go straight, right? Rockets don't have any sort of guidance system. Missiles have a guidance system. This has a guidance system, therefore Starship is a missile. And also the very obvious but still notable thing of it's in daylight. We have light. You can see the Indian Ocean down there, and yeah, I feel like they're starting to hit towards reentry max Q. SpaceX has really been on a roll of let's not keep commentary because there's still music playing, Chase. Literally, on one of the most recent Falcon 9 missions, if not the most recent, they expended the booster, and between second engine start and SECO, even though that's a very interesting time of flight, they just got rid of the commentary. They just said, yeah, we'll be back before SECO, which was like a 4-minute break. You gotta do what you gotta do. If there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about, but I feel like you should inform the general public about everything. Especially the fact is that a lot of
That's what
people...
they're there for.
Yeah, and a lot of people who don't, like I said, they should be forced to, listen to like something explaining rockets, but they really just like their stock value dropped a lot even after just a scrub of the launch last week. And of course it's the I'm not gonna say the big media hates Elon. Some of them might, some of them don't. But they obviously are using the wrong terminology to make it sound way worse, or at least unintentionally. So I think someone said, or one headline said, SpaceX scraps Starship launch. Whoa, wait a minute, what? They're not scrapping the launch, they're just delaying it.
Yeah.
Whoops, sorry, 4 engines got damaged, or like 5 engines got damaged in total, I think. Or at least replaced, not necessarily damaged. But, yep, that's a scrapped launch. Even though they're just gonna go replace them quickly. This is really an interesting phase of flight. I don't know why the ship is leaned so much. I'm like tilting my head to try and make the bottom of the ship be my reference frame to the horizon. The ship is really tilted. And we just went past an hour into flight. I wish I would switch to the camera on the other flap. I feel like that would just at least make my head more comfortable. Or maybe even just do a flap, like the flap cam that's not on the flap, but the ones that's facing the flap. Anyway, it's starting to slow down. I believe they've definitely probably went through re-entry max Q by now. I know max Q's Chase's favorite. This is just a running joke because he always wanted to call it out.
Okay, cool.
Chase, what's something that you think you know about rockets that the average public wouldn't?
The hexagons, they're there so the rocket doesn't overheat.
Yes. But I feel like that's possibly obvious if they're doing any sort of research. What else do you know?
I don't know.
I gotta really keep you up on this. Because, you're just along for the ride sometimes while I do all the talking. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade at you, it's just like, oh, look at that, Chase. I wonder what happened to that camera. Looks like someone, like, took a big chunk of coal and slapped it on that side of the ship. One of the tiles maybe got, like, carfunkled or something. Oh, now you can see finally on the timeline Starship landing, which is, wow, that's only 5 minutes away. I just realized. Really, the next few minutes of flight are some of the quickest, because after they scrub off basically all of their cross range, they just do a belly flop. And I don't think they started it just yet, but I was about to say, oh, there it goes. I'm not going to say what I was originally going to say because it sounds wrong, but... Oh, Chase, here's what they're doing. I know what they're doing. They're doing a turn for a... Oh, I didn't see your message a while ago. But they're doing, like, basically... I'll have to show you a video later. Imagine Texas was below them. They're basically coming down, I think, north from the top of Texas to Starbase, right? And now they're turning so that they don't overshoot Texas. They're basically just doing one big drift across the atmosphere to scrub off their velocity without going too far ahead. I wonder how quick or how close the Starship will be to be on target. Hopefully it's hopefully it's within like a meter of accuracy. I know that would be pretty crazy, but they really need that accuracy, especially after the smaller chopstick modification got made to the tower, so that there's not so much mass to move with so much inertia. They really need it to be very good at spot landings. Which, I wish they would do, like, an actual simulated catch. They keep calling it that for the ship, I think. At least they have before. But it's not really, because they're just doing it in the ocean. I wish they would do, like, a full simulated catch with, correction time and everything for it to slowly slide in. Maybe we'll see that soon. Hopefully we'll see that in, like, 5 minutes. But if they don't, we'll see that on the tower at some point. Or maybe in the goal, if they don't go immediately to the tower. I'm 50-50 on that right now, really. Anyway, I'm probably gonna...
No. What'd you say?
50-50. Oh, come on. That's another friend group joke.
And that's going to be coming up here in just about a minute or so.
Yeah, just about a minute away. We're going to try and light
So,
all 3 Raptor sea level engines for this
3
burn.
Raptors down
Light
to 2, down
3,
to 1.
Do the flip. We'll eventually go down to 2 as we get close down to the water, down mode to a final 1 engine.
And I think they go down to roughly, like, I don't know, 400 to 600 meters before they start their landing burn. Those might be just well-reflected specks in the ocean, like from waves, but those might also be, like, certain ships out there waiting for recovery. People have seen Starship land with their own 2 eyes, I think, because there was, like, a phone video of Starship landing from the ship crew. But, 3 kilometers left. Speed is about 410 kilometers an hour.
That will essentially hook them out over the
I'll do it. Quick. Okay, there we go.
Tower 2.
Alright, engine graphic is up.
10 seconds away. Look for 3 Raptors, the 3 in the
Hopefully
middle,
we'll see a drone view like we did last time.
Let's see if we can get this thing in the water.
There's small... I don't know if that's a hole or that's just a vent, but sub-kilometer now at terminal velocity. And you can hear from on the ground there was an engine sound. But now the landing burn has ignited. One of the engines went out. Yes, there's a drone view.
Descending into the Indian Ocean.
And it landed perfectly. Look at that. And kaboom?
And we're in the water.
Nope, kaboom. Wow.
And it's a soft splashdown in the water.
But the methane in the
Uh-oh.
header tanks is slowly cooking off as expected.
That is a first.
Yeah, that is definitely a first.
That is the softest splashdown we have ever had with the Starship there in the Indian Ocean.
It's bound to be an exciting day for our recovery team. I mean,
I wonder what their procedure is.
huge milestone
At
to
some
even
point,
get
the welds have to melt, right, Chase? Or at least soften enough so that they don't support their own weight. But if it is a full Starship, because they're out in the middle of the ocean, right? I mean, it'll probably blow up
Right.
at some point, or at least fall apart. But you know, they've got to have some sort of procedure to wait and then approach it. And that's like a giant ship now. You can see it drifting in the ocean along with the waves and whatnot. I wish I was there with them. I'm just clapping alone in my room, but boy, am I excited.
Lucky Flight 13.
Nice.
Hey, Kate, we are so excited about another successful Starship test flight.
Is it
and
still
those
alive?
Gorgeous Starlink views.
I
that
think
we
it
have.
is. Look at the camera
And
views in the
also confirm
background.
that we
They're going like
managed to
in and
make
out of the
contact with
water.
all 20
Like
of
right
those
here.
V3 sets.
Yeah.
So it's a massive day for us.
Yep, it's still alive.
Congratulations
It
to
is.
everyone at the team at Starbase,
No, wait. I don't
Starlink,
think they
and
will. They'll probably
everyone
end up detonating it, but imagine if they got like a
to the
tugboat
Starship
out there and
program
started
as
tugging
we
it
make
back to
progress again
a port
towards
or something.
multiplanetary future. So thank
So,
you everyone for tuning
you know what?
in.
I feel like they should have some
Bye
sort of
from me,
contingency to
Hawthorne,
do
and
that.
back to you guys at Starbase.
Thanks
Or at
so much,
least,
Tyler.
you know, once it stops burning and there's no chance of explosion with residual methane and oxygen, they should have some way of safing it enough to get crew on it to take like samples of like heat shield tiles and samples of, you know, different parts of the ship around like the bow shock where it gets hot. But otherwise that was an amazing, amazing, amazing test flight. I don't want to like sound cringe and be like, "Oh, I was there." Yeah. But that was really, really, really something special. Next up will be Flight 14, hopefully by the end of the summer, but I wouldn't count on it. Hopefully, or at least by the end of summer break. I would definitely count it on being within, by September, but not necessarily during summer break. But,
Alright, so we'll see you tomorrow at 11:51 a.m.
maybe. But, yeah. There's really nothing much other than to say than, thanks if anyone watches this. Chase, your job is to go make a bunch of clips now, if that's what you want to do.
Clipping and editing is gonna be my night.
Maybe make a whole VOD out of it.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing.
And after this, I think it's time for me to go take some deep breaths, say, we did it. We survived flight test 13. Hopefully the stream won't be so drop framey next time, because we've like dropped like 15% of our frames, which I think that's something to do with streaming in 60 FPS. Maybe I should just go back to streaming in 30, because instead of being stuttery, it will be less frames overall, but it won't be stutter. Anyway, Chase, we're probably gonna let this just cook out for like 30 seconds on scene 2 after
Did you
we're
press
done.
end broadcast?
Not yet, but I wanted to say if there's anything
Okay.
that you wanted to say, and I'm probably gonna switch them to like the stream starting soon because we really don't have anything else. But I
Yeah.
just want them. My brother wants to say something, but I'm gonna, you know, you can use your closing words, and I'm gonna ask him what he wants to say.
Okay, thank you for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate it. Everybody watching live, and there should be a VOD posted within the next few days, hopefully. And just like follow all the socials. There might be in the description. I don't know, but yeah, check those out, and we'll see you guys in the next stream.
And finally, happy summer to all. I know we keep saying every summer we're gonna upload, but life gets not even busy. We just sometimes get lazy, honestly. But we'll see what ends up happening. Hopefully everyone enjoys the rest of their day wherever you are, and may God be with you all.
Hide. Okay.